this Singapore, Thailand are few I can name right now. I am Roshan, facilitator for today's meeting. Professionally, I am a country coordinator for International Development Institute. I oversee all the IDI project in Nepal and South Asia, and especially project related with education, banking, cooperative, hospitality industry. Talking about IDI, we're a capacity building firm and the training provider based in Washington, DC. Now, let's move on to the issue we have gathered here today. So, recent survey conducted by PMI Education Foundation has found that 49% of the class of 2020 have changed their educational plan, college plan, because of this corona pandemic. There is a big dilemma going on in minds of recent graduates right now. They are confused, not sure how things will turn out in their life, in their career. On a hindsight, graduates, you are not alone. We have your back. Also, all of us, not only students, but academicians, any job holders, we all are struggling and trying to find a silver lining amidst this crisis. Today, in this free webinar organized by IDI, is the COVID-19 pandemic confusing your college and career choices? We hope to find answer of that, or at least new points to move forward in this difficult situation. But before I move on to our formal event, I just want to set up some ground rules. Let me share my screen so I can go through the ground rules for today's meeting. If you have any question for our speaker, please send it via our Q&A box, question answer round box. Please type your questions there. Also make sure to keep your phone or any beeping devices on silent because it may disturb you later on during the program. Also stay close to the place where your Wi-Fi signals are strong. Also make sure to keep your audio on mute so you won't disturb anyone. Now, with that ground rule, let me move on with the agenda for today. Our agenda is pretty simple and short today. We'll start our program by the welcome speech by Suman Timsina, who is Executive Director of IDI. Then we'll move on with our webinar session with our resource person, Mrs. Sandipa Thapa. And then we'll have a short question answer round, and we'll have a closing remark by our Managing Director, who is Persu Nepal. Now, before I move on, let me invite Executive Director of IDI. Mr. Suman Timsina is a manager with 20 plus years of leadership with strategy management and execution experience. He also served as a Vice President of Bank of America, and he was the past President of Non-Resident Nepali National Coordination Council of USA. He also served as an adjunct faculty at Temple University. Let me welcome our Executive Director, Suman Raj Timsina, to give his welcome speech. Mr. Suman Raj Timsina, the floor is yours.
And good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I know we have a huge crowd, and I see almost 290, almost it's growing. And we have about over 500 people registered for this event. And they are from 3 major continents, from North America, Asia, and Africa. And welcome everyone. And I think this is a huge crowd, so we may or may not be able to answer all the questions in Q&A. If we don't, then please, you have our email address. You can always email us, and we can answer those questions in email. Moving forward, welcome to the event, and let me introduce you what IDI is and why we are doing it. And then I will quickly will go back to Roshan, and he will bring our speaker that we have been waiting to hear. And I'm just going to share a quick 1 second. Okay. So we have few few events. I just want to introduce what IDI is. So I'm based in Washington D.C. here in USA. So what we are organizing today is the COVID pandemic confusing for our college and career choices. So many people are wondering where to apply, how to apply, if I want to go study abroad, how situations are, and is the SAT exam taking place, is that going to be considered? So there are hundreds of questions people have in mind. So we have a professional certified coach who will be answering some of those questions. So IDI is based in Washington, D.C., as I stated, and we provide capacity building training programs. And I do see a number of people who are signed up today. They have attended our program, whether they are STEM program or teachers and principals capacity building programs. So what program we do? We usually organize in a so-called normal period when we had no COVID, we were traveling freely, we were safe. We used to organize STEM programs. So we had students coming from Nepal, coming from African regions, coming from Bangladesh, coming to STEM program we organize with in collaboration with American universities, where the students will come here, experience the university campus, um, and attend 7 to 15 days program, and they will attend STEM. And STEM is not just learning about physics, science, physics, chemistry, and biology or math, but we focused on how you can use your knowledge solving real life problems like drinking water, traffic problems, or health problem, or education, or anything else. So we focused on those programs, which was very popular. And then we do lots of capacity building training program for teachers, for principals, for education policy makers, since the educationists are here. And we are still doing those programs virtually now. We just finished one program a month and a half ago so we had participants, there's a huge number of participants from Philippines as well. And they were all principals or education department officials from their countries. And then we also we're starting now to do career counseling and coaching, and I will leave that to our next speaker. And we also do a school assessment and other consulting for schools. So many schools may need to know that, hey, if you want to expand, we want to make some changes. We don't know how to engage parents properly, or we need help with physics, math, or science, chemistry, or history, or English literature, to do some specific training for the teachers. And right now we're getting lots of requests for doing training for their teachers, where almost 95% of the world is gone virtual. So having said that, I just wanted to introduce what IDI does. And before we move on, I just want to wish everyone good day, good evening, good night, wherever you are, and stay safe. Follow your protocol in whatever country you are in. And this year is a very tough year for all of us. This year is about staying safe. So let's start this conversation with staying safe. And now we got to figure out how we're going to do this college and our career, and going abroad to study, or going to the next district or the next town, or some other cities in your country or the next country. How are we going to manage that? So having said that, Roshan, back to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Suman, for that warm welcome and introduction about IDI. Now, moving forwards, earlier today, I was going through the and in that registration list, I see lots of high school students, recent graduates, and students who are studying in grade O and A levels, lots of parents and teachers. And in that comment section of our form, like we ask for the questions, if you have any question for our resource person. But there I see lots of questions where many questions were about the confusion regarding career path, college choices, application process, and also about not being able to think straight during this time, this hard time. I know it is hard time for everyone, but again, it does not mean we can just stay still and just not do anything. We humans are hopeful creature. That is another reason we are organizing this workshop. Is COVID pandemic confusing your college and career choices? Because we need to find an answer. We need to find an alternative for this time. Also, we know among us, we have people, experts we have been thinking about keenly and deeply about this issue, and how students and the recent graduates can be successful and stay productive during this pandemic. Today, our speaker is a professional coach, and her insight on how students and parents can move forward. She will talk about the career goals. So before I invite her and formally introduce her, let me introduce our coach for today's session, Sandipa Basnyat. So Mrs. Sandipa Basnyat is a certified leader, certified career and coach. She has over 20 years of work experience as an entrepreneur and hospitality educator with specialization in career and leadership coaching. She has been providing career and leadership coaching on one-to-one and workshop to multilaterals such as UNDP, World Bank Family, and Oxfam. She's also a co-founder of Silver Mountain College of Hotel Management and presently working as Director of Marketing and on-campus recruitment for Silver Mountain School of Hotel Management. And previously, she worked as a senior career consultant at George Washington University, Washington, D.C. And Mrs. Sandipa was awarded most influential 50 global coaching leaders. So now let me pass this virtual floor to our resource person, Sandipa Thapa, to just move forward.
Toastmaster. Thank you, Roshan ji, for that elaborate and just a minute, I'm sharing the screen. Okay. Are you able to see the screen? Hello, are you able to see the screen? Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Sandipa. Thank you, Roshan, for that elaborate and very humbling introduction. Thank you all for being here. I can see so many people here for this career talk. And we have representation from various countries. So welcome to our thing. Hope we are able to talk to you. As I told you, I'm a career coach by profession, and I'm also a hotelier and a hospitality educator. I run a hotel management college called Silver Mountain in Nepal. It is the first private hotel management college. And I love what I do. So let's start. So let me ask you, like, if you want to write things on the chat, my thing is, why are you here? I know most of you are here to listen. I hope nobody is here on a gunpoint because you have to attend. So welcome. But the reason, I think there may be many reasons, but the reason I think why you are here is because you are an achiever. You want to achieve something. You want to know things. That's why you are here. And right now, because of this pandemic, which has been unforeseen before past 6 months, and things have drastically changed, not only for you students, but for everything. The way we used to work, the way we used to do things have totally changed, including your college applications and college processes as well. So right now, for the students and parents, your mind is like this. If I am not correct, let me know. But I think most of your mind, and including our mind, is like this. We are asking a lot of questions. We are asking what to stop, what to start, how do I do, what is the next stage, when. And you all are young people, and you have more time and more energy, and your brain is functioning like this, and nothing is abnormal about it. It is okay to think, because when you think a lot, then you know that you're going to do something about it. So thinkers are great learners. So you think, you dissect, and you're doing a lot of things. So this is normal. I know you're feeling this, and sometimes you feel overwhelmed. It is okay, because at the end of the day, we need to have a clarity. We need to be happy. Happiness matters the first. So let's talk about things like how do we go forward in the career. I'm going to do small talk about what to do, how to start, you know. So I'm showing you a picture of a gentleman. I think all of us know him, right? He revolutionized the world. We know so many facts about things, but did you know that when he was 8 years old, he was told and by the school, and his parents were called, and he was asked to drop from the school because he was not good in writing and reading poems and writing things in literature. And but his parents thought he could do, and they motivated him, and he built on, and then he became the Nobel laureate. And because of him, like, he is developed so many things for us, from the gravitational law to everything. So he worked hard on what he believed. His parents believed on him, and then he and now people think, like, they have also some doctors have claimed that he had autism. So that's why it was difficult for him to do some other things. How many of you know this gentleman? He is Harold Ake. He was in the news last year all over, if you remember. Ike is a Nigerian immigrant who moved with his parents to US when he was just 9 years old. He was bullied for his thick accent. He was not so good. His parents left good job because they dreamt about giving him good education in US, and they left their good job and they did work at the store, which for them that time it was demeaning. But his parents came, they worked hard together. So he is the one who was accepted in all 8 Ivy Leagues. Not only that, he applied at 15 top colleges and he was accepted in all 15. And he was also accepted at MIT and Stanford as well. So he worked hard. So he worked on it. Then this man needs no introduction, Steve Jobs. Because of him, you and I are able to talk today through this medium. Because of him, we can see all the fonts, because he was the one who started typeface. And I love, if you have read his biography, you will love this gentleman. And he had a lot of things, and among many things, he's always liked and quoted, said, "Be hungry and be foolish. Be always hungry for knowledge and be foolish." That's what he said. And he always said that you have to connect dots backwards in the past so that you can come and do things in the present. So what is common in all these 3 men? What do you think is common? All these 3 men are successful people, but what is common in them are dreams. I love this quote, and this has been one of my favorite, which says, "Happy are those who dream dreams and pay the price to make it true. Happy are those who dream dreams and make the price to come true." And they dreamt, and they made their dream come true. They had so many obstacles. Like for Steve Jobs, he left his alma mater, he left his college, and then he was a college dropout. But don't forget that he was not only college dropout, but during his college dropout, he went and attended other classes. He learned calligraphy during that time, because of which we are able to enjoy different fonts at our computer. So you always have to get engaged, so you have to dream. So he was a dreamer. But only dream does not take us where we want. So we have expectations, right? So all of us are limited by our expectations. We have rules by our parents, which most of you don't like, rules by the society, rules of the school. So a lot of things. Then we are judged. We are judged by our friends. We are always scared of being judged by a girlfriend or your boyfriend. You are being judged by a teacher. You don't like being judged by your parents. But have you ever stopped for a minute and judged yourself? I mean, judged in a right way. Have you ever done critique of yourself, not criticism? Have you found out what makes you happy? Have you found out that what makes you feel happy and comfortable? So for that, because we have to find it, because in our society now the competition is so high that most of you think failure is not an option. No, failure is an option. Think of that. You don't have to be successful always. Failure is the next step to success. So think of that. And in order to think, what you need to do is you need your space. You need to sit and think and do self-assessment. You need to find out who you are and what is expected from you. What makes you happy? What makes happiness is more important than being successful. So always remember this. So this is what dreamers do. We have expectations. Now we have to set the boundary, but in setting boundary, we forget something. And let me tell you a story. Sorry, before that, there's an expectation. This is a slide we normally see, you know, like the software engineer, like expectation you have see what my mom thinks I do, because as parents, we always think that you are not working enough. As your friends think you're doing something cool. You think you are doing a lot of fancy things, and your boss thinks they are paying you so much. But at the end of the day, what you actually do is you're trying to figure out what you want to do. And right now you are in that phase where you're trying to figure out, and things, you always try to figure it out. So when you try to figure it out, I want to talk to you about the story, and I want you all to not to repeat this story. This is a story of nobody else, but it is my story. That little cute, fluffy puppy is me. This was when I made a career choice. I had a dream to be successful. I had a dream to be somebody. So in my time, like there were only two career choices we had when we were science student. So I either had a choice to be a doctor or an engineer. I come from family of engineers. So my dad is an engineer, my brother was doing engineering. So I also thought, and even my friends were either doing medicine or engineering, so I opted for engineering. So like this fluffy dog, I did jump with dolphins once, but I plunged deep because I did not enjoy like dolphins, because I realized that I was happy in land, running around rather than swimming in the sea. So I chose to do hospitality, and I been doing this. I'm a educator, I'm in this field, and I'm very passionate about helping, motivating young people and young students like it. When I look back, I don't regret. So don't repeat this story, and don't go and jump in without knowing your strengths and your weaknesses. So for a minute, stop and think. Dreams are there, expectations are there, but first thing you have to be clear about yourself is your personality. We are different. Each of us are unique. So see the personalities. Everybody is different. And we have to figure out, where do we fit in? What do I like? When I go back and think, if I would have been engineer, I would not be happy digging numbers or making codes, or because maths gives me jitters. But I'm happy doing hospitality, doing career coaching, talking to people, motivating to people, talking to my students. It makes my day. So you have to choose a career that you're passionate about, that interests you, and that becomes a career. Otherwise, it becomes a job. So let's aim for the career. And many of you are still confused. It is okay to be confused. There is no hurry. Many of you are planning to take gap year. That is fine. Because yes, if you don't know, it is fine, because you're taking time rather than making wrong choices and moving ahead and being unhappy throughout your life. It is always better, stay back. There's a big question mark. You ask yourself, you be clear about what you want. You think of these things, and then you make career choices. Now there are many universities, they offer exploratory studies for the first year. Even if you're going for engineering, or even if you're going for medicine, they have first year as exploratory studies, where you can explore the subjects you are going to study further and then make a decision only in the second year. So if you are not clear, you can do that as well. So make career choices, take a break and do it. And then the session which we are planning on September 28th talks about all the things which you have asked in the survey about college readiness. In order to be ready for the college, I know most of you have done most of the things, but you have to do self-assessment. As I said earlier, that is the number one thing. And after you do your self-assessment, only then you do the choices, other choices. Then you have to polish your brand because you want to be accepted. Academics is important, but it depends on countries. Like for the admission, some countries like in Asia, academics is the highest merit we're looking for. But in US, if you go, academic is one of the criteria, not the criteria. Some of you are planning to take a gap year. As I said earlier, it is fine if you are confused, but if you're not confused and if you think it's because of pandemic, don't take gap year as my suggestion, because this year a lot of schools have taken out the test scores, SAT and all. They're not able to do it. And you can, what you can do is you can go for it because you have high chance of being accepted at the colleges because there are few students and your competition is also lesser and you don't have to go through all those test scores and it's not that rigorous. Selecting colleges, don't select college. Most of us, like we think there's a college in UK and there is a college in US, then we should go. No, you have to find out the quality of education in colleges. See colleges, even the colleges back home where you are also of good quality. They have international standard of study. So while selecting colleges, see like whether it is accredited or non-accredited. Don't go just for college, because many students, they go to college saying that it is in US or in Australia, and later they realize it is not accredited and all their effort and study is gone. So know about the colleges. Another thing is applications is different in different countries. US application process, you need test scores, academics, you need extracurricular activities, you need essays which have to be good. But when you go to UK, you need your academics and you need your personal statement. If you go to Australia, it's different. If you go to Canada, it's different. If you go to Asia, it's different. So it depends upon where you are applying, so know it. So we will be talking more about it on our coming sessions. Even the application process, even talking about essays, how to write and all these things we will talk about. Then comes affordability. Sit with your parents, because going to college is not cheap. It is hard-earned money from your parents. Sit with them and talk to them. And for most international students, if you are going as an international student, it is very expensive. So make a choice, know about affordability, know about the financial aid, think about the ways how you can get financial aid. So you have to do that. Another thing is reality versus expectations. One of my cousins, she went to Alabama to study because it was in US. She thought life would be like what you see in movies, like in New York, Chicago, or Los Angeles. But when she reached Alabama, it is a suburb town. It used to snow all the time and she was depressed. She could not stay there long. So please realize where you are going. Do a lot of research, find out where you're going. Geographic location, like most of you attending here today are from countries where we are blessed with good climate. So where people go normally, there in US, like in Alabama, there it snows 8 months a year. If you go to UK, it rains all the time. So see that you are familiar with the location, culture-wise, we are totally different. Though we think we have an American accent and we feel we are so cool and will fit in. No, it is not, because it is only 1 month is honeymoon period, and after that you start to sink. You think of home, freshly made food, bread made by people, your family, everything back home is easy. So think, can you survive on its own? And think of volunteering and extracurricular activities, which is always a plus in college application. If you are only good in academics, college application, you have chances, but if you're good in academics, plus you have volunteering and extracurricular activities, it is always good. And the last thing I don't have to talk about much is visa issues, right? A lot of countries have restrictions for visas, and even if you get to big colleges also, you don't get it. So you might be wondering what's the picture I'm sharing, because this picture talks about all the things which I talked about. I have helped a lot of people, thousands of students in their career, and this one is more personal for me, because this is my son who from childhood, you know, he had a passion of collecting aeroplanes. He knew the equipments, how it is made. He knew from the noise, you could make out which kind of airlines it was. And but he never said that he wanted to be a pilot or he wanted to do aeronautics. He never said that. When we asked, his choice was to be a ranger at the forest. Then he wanted to be a veterinarian. Then he wanted to be a biomarine and then it came a point he wanted to be a businessman. So at class 11 almost, he said, I want to drop out and I want to start my own business. But we sat with him, we discussed, we talked, we asked him to do self-assessment. We wanted him to find his passion. He worked on his academics, right? He started selecting colleges, which is a fit. He did applications. He applied in 15 colleges, not an easy, with each having 4 or 5 essays to write. And then we talked about affordability as well, because one time he was on a list for the Stanford, and he was on the second interview. And that time we figured out that his tuition was almost 80,000 per year, and which was very, very high for us. We sat and talked about pros and cons about it, and as parents, we could afford it or not. But he did not get accepted. But so talk to your parents about affordability as well. Reality versus expectations. It was a college, it is a suburban college, it is not a town party college. It snows all the time, it is very cold, culturally is different. But he worked all his way with academics. He volunteered at animal shelter because he's passionate about animals. He took risk, he climbed Kilimanjaro, and he also worked for the Nepal Army Air Base in Kathmandu as a small intern. So he did all that, and that helped him in his essays to get to Purdue, where he is studying right now. Now he's back doing online because of this. And we had plan A. He always had plan A, and he wanted to work. He had plan B for different colleges. He got selected in other colleges, but we did not think about plan C, which is a visa issue. We almost stayed 8 years in US. He studied in US, and we never thought that he will be rejected a visa. So it was a surprise for all of us. So he was rejected visa twice, and on the third go, he got his visa. So this is the whole, why I'm talking about this is, what I'm talking is that there is no silver bullet we're talking about. There is, but it is an informatory journey, and hopefully which will lead you to success. You have to know how to do it. If you know how to do it with plan A, have plan B and plan C, because plan A does not always work. So if you know how to do it, we can do it together. That's why we have a session on 28th. You can ask, you can enroll. We have 4 days session, which IDI is organizing. And we will talk more about college applications, more about academics, test scores, what is required, and all those things. So if you have any questions, we will take it forward. This is me. So thank you, and over to you, Oroshi.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sandipa. And your lively discussion brought so many memories of me applying for college 10, 12 years ago when I recently completed my high school, and all the things you mentioned, team aspiration, career goal, everything. Now, with that, I have so many questions I need to ask you. And with that, I want to move forward with the Q&A session. Please, dear audience and participant, please send your questions by, through Q&A. There is the Q&A button. Will try to take as many of your question as possible, but we have limited times. We have another 15-20 minutes to take this question answer session. But let me throw in the very first question I want to ask you, and this may this is the question many have suggested um, in the registration process as well. How important is realizing passion and interest before picking up the career? I know you talk about this a little bit. Can you please elaborate?
Yes, passion and interest, I think, is the number one thing you have to realize. As I talked in my presentation also, because I gave my own example. I chose engineering, but I was not passionate about it. I did not have interest in maths and science, and I did not succeed. And I was not happy in 1.5 years when I did it, right? So when I went to hospitality, I realized it was my passion to talk to people, meet people, do service, things like that. So this is the most important thing. So you have to do a lot of self-assessment to come to that. We have self-assessment tools. We'll go through those two, one of the tools while we do that. So I think it is very, very important. It is the number one thing before you select a career.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you. I agree with you. And another thing I want to work, I know you talk about the self-assessment. It's talking about yourself, but there's another part, which is the paperwork, reaching out to school and colleges. So my question for you is, can the college application process be done by students themselves, or they need to consult educational consultancies or other people? Can student do it themselves?
I think this is the 21st century, and the students are well versed with the technology. They do not have to go to educational consultancies saying that. I'm saying it not because that they are capable of doing it. They have to just browse, take time, go, take help from people who know it, and you can apply it yourself. You can write essays, everything you have to do. For them, they just collect your papers and they guide you to the universities which pays them. But you have to choose the university according to your passion. And there are people who also do personality check with the personality of the university as well. So as I said, geographic location, things like that. So you can do it yourself. So don't go and pay hundreds of dollars in education consultancies, and because you can do it. If you are able to join in today and do Zoom, why not? It is just a piece of cake. You can apply in colleges.
On that, another question is, I know we have participants from so many different countries, from Philippines, Nepal, India, South Africa. So is college application process differ from country to country, or is it same for
No, as I said,
all the universities? What's
like it is different. Like if you are studying, if you are in US, your high school, like your class you take like AP, and AP classes are very important. Advanced classes are very important. And then US is one place where not only your academics, but your test scores is equally important. Then there is essay. They give a lot of preference to extracurricular activities like sports, arts, even volunteering is counted. They want to see who you are in essays, like as a person. They want not only to see you as a successful people with academics, but they want to see overall. But if you go to UK, like their system, they have IB. In Europe also, they have IB, which has credit, that is credited to university. But in US, IB is not the thing. IB is not given credited to, but IB is just like a regular high school. So if you go to Asia, the IB is given the topmost priority. Academic is the highest merit you can get through. If you go to Canada, it is a thing. It is academics plus thing. UK, it is academic plus your personal statement. Personal statement is also how you fit into it. So there are a lot of resources which we will be talking in our sessions, in workshops, how to apply and things like that. And we have our academic counselors and career counselors from different universities, from these universities, coming and talking to us on the last day of our sessions on the week of 28th.
Thank you very much. One thing I remember during your, speech, speech, you mentioned about the gap year. I know many students throughout the world are taking gap year, but it may be a new concept for many students who are attending here, because I know we have over almost like 400 participants, and many of them are students. So what is gap year, and why can a gap year be an alternative for them for this coronavirus pandemic during this time? Why can it be an option for them?
This year it can be an option for a gap year, because if they are confused, if they are not prepared, because for 12 for an 18-year-old it is a lot of stress giving test, that is SAT or ACT or IELTS, whatever is required. On top of that, you have to be academically good to get into good college, and then you have your extracurricular activities that is going on, and on top of that, college application. And there is an average that an individual applies to 8 to 9 colleges to get selected to one. So there's a lot of work. So if you think you're overwhelmed and you're not able to do that, it is good to take a gap year this year. But saying so, this year is much easier for college admission than years. This year has changed dramatically. The criteria, like especially the SAT scores, are not required. There is an optional test format, so you can do that. So the choice is yours. It depends on how prepared you are.
Okay, thank you very much. I will questions from our audience here. There is one question. It talks about, okay, let me ask you this. It's about the essays. Can you comprehend a little more about the essays? That's one question. And I have another question which is related with essay, which says, what is the best thing you can say in an essay with the question, why do you want to be an exchange student? Do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, essay is the thing which shows the real you. Don't boast about things which you have not done. Talk about passion, the person you are, and try to relate it to what you want to do in life. Essays, like, it depends on colleges, as I told you, like you can go to Common Apps and things like that if you're applying in US, and every university has a different set of essays that to be filled. Some have 2, some have 4. So do that. Another thing is, for the exchange student on an essay, it is always good to talk about culture, because we are culturally rich. You talk about language, you're passionate about traveling, learning, and you have to show it with an example. Do that, and I think it will be very helpful. Hope I answered your question to a bit.
Thank you very much. I'm hopeful. You answered the question of our participant. Dear participant, we still have a couple of minutes left. So if you have any question, please type in. I will ask you another question. How early should one start looking or planning for colleges to enroll or admitted to? Do you have any suggestion for our young graduates or someone who is graduating soon?
Yes, I think you have to start early. You don't have to think about it. Start from high school. That is in US. In Asia, it's from 9th standard, right? Start thinking from 9th standard, from 10th standard. Start taking courses that you want to take into college. 11th standard, then you figure out the test you need. You want to start selecting the colleges. Go to visit colleges. If you cannot do virtual tours, write to them, because even one of the selection criteria, what they see is if you have visited college, if you have been in contact with them, you can do that. Because if you wait till 12th standard, it might be too late, because you have to do a lot of things at one time, and you might go crazy doing it because you have a lot of stuff to do and you don't have enough time. So do the test scores on 11th standard and early 12th standard. That is good, because all the college applications are open from by October. You'll get the decision, so you have to make a choice early. But if you're planning to take a gap year, then you can do it after into high school in the last graduating year, in the senior year.
Okay, great. Another question, we have so many questions about the scholarship, especially in colleges or university outside. Can you give us some insight on what different kind of scholarship they can have? Because I see they have many questions about the sports scholarship, but there are several others. So can you elaborate on those if you have any suggestions?
So what you have to do is for scholarship, there are different kinds of scholarship. So when you apply for the college, go to the financial aid section, look for different scholarships they are offering. Each individual college has different scholarship scheme. Sometimes you have scholarship for international students, but mostly in US or in it is for their citizens or permanent resident holders. But if you are in sports, you can go to colleges that have sports team that are looking for people in sports that encourage people. So you have to find colleges that promote sports. Sports, there another thing is arts, literature. Even if you are in some kind of club, even in LGBT community, they have special scholarship. They have scholarship about different kinds of roles you do in society. So you can check out in their website. So do research before applying the college. Do the thorough research if you want financial aid. And you have to apply early for that because you need a lot of time.
Thank you very much. And this is my last question. We're almost running out of time. As a career coach, as a, like you have helped thousands of people to achieve their dream career. So my question is, if you have to pinpoint three most important thing students need to do before considering applying outside or for college, what would be that three things you would suggest them to do in this situation?
First thing is you do your self-assessment and identify your strengths and weaknesses, your interest and passion, one thing. Second thing is select colleges that are good, and then your ROI, return of investment, is good when you go for a job in a job market that people can do it. And third thing, check the affordability. Many people think that going abroad they will work, earn, and even parents think that they can work and earn. No, many countries, like for a first year in US, you cannot work, right? So the college fees are so high that you think you can work and you can pay. And for a bachelor to complete, it might take, instead of 4 years, 8 years if you're earning and studying. So please make sure about these things before you go and jump, So these are the three things I think you need to understand.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sandipa, for that insightful session. I mean, I'm pretty sure you have answered a lot of questions. And if you have any other question, dear participant, please send us via email. That way we can respond to you. I want to thank you for this insightful session. I mean, we'll be conducting the full 4-day session from 28th September to 1st October soon. I hope to see many of you here. We can also send you a link where it, we can in detail, the brochure will give you in detail like what we'll be talking about for in that 4-day workshop. Thank you very much, Sandipa, for your insightful session.
Thank you, Roshan. Thank you so much. It was lovely talking to you, and please feel free to reach out, and you can use the link given, and hope to see many of you on 28th of September, and have a good day. Stay safe, take care of yourself, and all the best for your future. I know you will rock it. All of us will be rocky and be happy. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope many of the participants here will join us for the session soon, and you will be seeing them again. Now, before I move on with the program, let me this program today was it's a collaborative effort of so many people. I just want to give a shout out to few who made this program possible, and I want to acknowledge their name. The first name is Mrs. Sarmila Pradhananga. She is really passionate about students' career and about the student in general, and the students who are confused during teenage time and who need proper guidance. So I really want to acknowledge her presence here. Thank you very much, Mrs. Sarmila, for encouraging us to organize this event. Also, I want to give a big shout out to Mr. Pankaj Pradhananga as well, and my associate Devkota, who is working behind the scene. Now, before we close this meeting, I want to welcome our executive. I want to welcome someone to give the our parting words, and I want to invite Managing Director of IDI, Mr. Persu Nepal, who have more than 20 plus years of experiencing managing global projects. And previously, he have been a project manager for International Law Institute and Intrados Consulting Group, and he's a proud Thunderbird alumni. Mr. Persu Nepal, please, I welcome you to give a closing remark to all our participants. Mr. Persu Nepal.
Thank you, Roshan, for this kind introduction. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Thank you for this kind introduction. And well, people have been sitting there for almost 1 hour, so I won't take too much of a time. But I would like to thank Sandipa for a very exciting and enthusiastic presentation. And I would like to also thank her for the collaboration with IDI. And we look forward to many years of collaboration and helping these young kids who want to pursue education and career of their choice. Though I came here as a student in the US some 27 years ago, but things have changed a lot, and Sandipa has more recent information, but the fundamentals remain the same. One thing that struck by her presentation is, decide early on. Don't make it a job. Make a career choice. Career is the most important thing, and make it a career choice. And what I would like to add one more sentence here is, don't be influenced. Well, influence, you can be influenced, but make your own decision. Listen to your parents, listen to your teachers, but follow your instinct. Know what is good for you, know what you can do better. Don't When we were growing up, our parents used to say, oh, you have to become a doctor or you have to become an engineer. No, don't follow. Don't listen to them, but follow your own pursuits. As Sandipa also mentioned, I think she earlier studied some things and ended up doing something else. So from early on, do what you like to, start early on from what you like to do. By saying that, I won't go into detail, and I look forward to this another program coming up in September 28th, wherein we will go into details. So I hope this program will be beneficial to you all, and we will be here in the US to assist, to guide, to mentor for any assistance you may need in this regard. Thank you, Roshan, Sandipa, and all the IDI team. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With this, I want to end the session. Thank you. Good night.